But to be authentic with our true selves, we have to be okay with who we are first before we can share it with the world. But
Mhm.
as my business partner always says, like our bullshit meters have never been more fine tuned. When someone isn't consistent, all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. I don't like how that feels in a world where authenticity, we claim to love it until it doesn't agree with us. And then we don't love it so much. So got to be really careful. We want our cake and we want to eat it and we want to resell that same piece of cake.
Welcome to Happy to Offend You. Life guarantees that somebody's going to be offended by anything that you do. In fact, somebody right now is offended by life itself, but they don't have to be. This show guarantees that someone is going to be liberated from being offended by somebody else's offensive behavior. What? Yes, we said it. This show sets out to prove not only how to be liberated from being offended, and also how to be happy to offend. So if you're already offended, welcome to the show. And here's your host, the very offensive, Michelle Nedelec. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I'm super glad that you are here with us today on Happy to Offend You, where you get to unravel the why behind the mystery, that just because you're offended by somebody's actions doesn't mean you're going to die. And in fact, if you understand why they're not offended by their actions, we can actually create better, deeper, more meaningful relationships. And that sounds crazy. I know, and I know I'm not even allowed to say crazy anymore. And yes, I did. And here I am. And I'm here with my most amazing guest, the very offensive Tyler. Tyler, thank you so much for being here with us
And the
today.
very offensive Tyler Chisholm. We're not allowed to say crazy anymore. What? I didn't. Oh man.
Oh man, yeah, you're not allowed to say that.
Man,
That's
woman. I
offensive.
mean, oh, human. So it is a minefield out there, Michelle, and I'm sick of it. I've had enough of it. I find I'm even starting to push back by saying things just to see if I can offend people.
Right? And that's where
Crazy
this
being
whole
one,
thing
I
came
wouldn't even have
from.
hesitated. I'm glad you didn't drop the R word because then we'd be opening up this podcast on a whole different front.
That was awesome. So give everybody a little highlight of who you are, what you do for fun, what kind of fun projects you're working on
Aside from
putting
being
together.
highly offensive, which I feel
Yeah.
I've left a little bit in my past, but I'm finding my voice in being offensive again. I just called being who I was. My name is Tyler Chisholm. I'm the CEO and one of the founding partners at Clearmotive Marketing, where we work very hard to only offend our clients behind closed doors, but in a way that challenges them to deliver amazing creative and amazing messaging out there to connect with their audience and with their soon to be or existing customers. And I also have the privilege, and I call it a privilege because I believe it's a gift in my life. I am the host of two podcasts, Collisions YYC, and They Just Get It. I've got over 500 episodes, which really just means I stuck with something for a long time. That's all it means. But I get to have amazing conversations with people, one about economic transformation across Western Canada, which is Collisions. And when They Just Get It, I talk to the freaks, the weirdos, the rebels, the people that do the thing that go, what, when, how did your, no, your guidance counselor didn't suggest that as an option. You water bomber pilot, you shaman, you crazy adventure racer, you da 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 da. I talked to a pet medium the other day who talks to people's dead pet existing and dead pets for them. So I am very open to talking to everybody about anything. And somewhere along the way, I'm sure I become quite offensive in that journey.
Right.
That was a mouthful,
And
Michelle. You
I'm
gave me
pretty
way too
sure
much
if we have the
microphone
right
there.
audience, you've already hit them here today.
Sweet. Let's do it.
Nice. So you nailed something, and I want to address that before we move on, because I think it is highly important. When you said that we only offend our clients behind closed doors, but it's their benefit and they can make money off of it. I want to unravel that, because I think that that is the root of all of this. Is if you're not willing to look at your shit, nothing's going to change, and it's going to be same shit, different day. But whereas if you're willing to unravel that and go, why am I offended by this shit? Why am I so attached to this? Why am I so whatever? Then we can get into the good
Or am I
stuff.
so scared that I might offend someone else from a corporate perspective that I water down the message? I was just working with a client recently, and we came up with we did a discovery with them. So we sat in the room behind closed doors, and no one got offended, but we pushed them, and they really showed up authentically of like, this is why we're different, and kind of fuck the competition, and that's why we did it our way, because these other funds did it a shitty way. It was a venture capital firm. They did it this way,
So
and
that's
we
easy
think
to
there's a
say.
better way. Not just because we're nice, but we actually think it's a better way to make more money. And we're like, this is amazing. This is very authentic and very true to them. And we push them and like, is it just this? Or are you just giving lip service? And kind of like, no, this isn't. It's who we are. But then when we wrote it all out for them, very, I would say on point, all of a sudden, then the dialogue starts. Whoa, geez, like, should we say that? Can we put that out there? Like, and we're like, but you guys did say those words. Like, it's authentically you. Yeah, but and everybody does what they do. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong, but that's fear that held them back from going to market was something that arguably I did not think was very offensive, but they felt it might be, oh, it's going to make people think this, and it's kind of taking a stance too much here. And the thing that they missed is it's taking a stance. They gave us back a watered down version, which they thought still captured it, but it kind of didn't. You sanded off the edges. You put you put buffers on the edges versus like, hey, if you fall and skin your knee and you hit that edge, that is your fault, not mine. That is your fault for hitting the edge of that coffee table. I'm not putting bumpers around my coffee table. Watch your shins, smarten up. But you got to be, it takes a lot of bravery, it takes a lot of courage to put that out there. But fundamentally, it comes to this is who we are. Yeah, but let's water it down just so we don't offend anybody, which misses the whole point of getting cut through on your message. And so that's what I mean a little bit about, yeah, we might say something in the room that might push them. And even then they agree. But the second they start thinking about telling the world, man, we get the sanding paper out and we smooth it all out and make it not even vanilla sometimes, but plain, the lack of flavor.
Right? Even vanilla was an exotic flavor at one point.
100%. I'm like, I'll be careful. Calling it vanilla is actually maybe stepping it up too high.
Exactly. Well, and you remind me of a time when my son was little and he was climbing on the planters downtown. We were at some office and he said to my sister, Auntie Carol, if I jump off this, is it going to hurt? And she goes, oh, yes, absolutely. It's going to hurt. So he, of course, jumps off of it. And I said, wow, that looked like it hurt. And he goes, oh, yeah, it hurt. I said, well, next time, bend your knees. So go do it again. And he goes, what? I said, get up there, do it again, and bend your knees. So he gets up and he bends his knees, and it's a ton of fun. And I said, that's the reward for doing something that might hurt.
Oh, so, I love that. That is very wise of you, Michelle. I like that story a lot.
Thank you.
That's very good.
You just put
on your stage microphone there for a minute.
I'm not going to raise a kid that's afraid of getting his knees scratched, because we get this adrenaline rush from something when it works, but there has to be a risk that it might hurt. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being hurt. That's part of being human. That's the fun part of being human.
I had a mentor years ago, and she said she was an emerge room nurse that ended up being a senior strategist in the marketing world. She goes, Tyler, it's marketing. No one's going to die. She goes, I've been in an environment where you make the wrong move, someone dies. She goes, beyond that, that's the only point that it actually really matters. Other than that, it doesn't actually matter at all. And, not everyone looks at it that way, but she had a credibility and gravitas in the way she spoke. But and anyone who knows any emerge room nurses, you cannot phase them. They're an unflappable group. But she's like, come on, it's advertising. No one's going to die. Get over yourself. And it was and she had a brief Australian accent. So the whole thing worked. You know what I mean?
Right. So when it comes to business, people are very afraid that if they're offensive, that they aren't going to get the clientele. They're going to make the wrong move in the savvy world of business. Right. Once upon a time, I came up with busy is bullshit. And a friend of mine said, absolutely, I am not putting that in front of my audience. And I took it as, I'm not savvy, I'm not good enough. And then a couple of weeks ago, I hear Bill Gates and Warren Buffett talking about how busy is bullshit and it's the new stupid. So it just really depends on how much money. I saw a post about a year ago,
probably came out after you, and it said, stop the glamorization of busy, which was just a softer way to say busy is bullshit.
Very soft way.
But to your point, the amount of confidence, courage, and willingness, but it also comes back to understanding your audience. Like, we had someone walk into our office one day when we were in office, and we used to play Mad Men on the TV. We're an agency playing Mad Men. And the client was like, there was a risky scene. Some woman had her, and it wasn't boobs. It was just shirt low. And, you could tell that there was something promiscuous happening. It was Mad Men. It was like normal. It was TV. And they were offended that we would play something like that in our lobby. And I looked at them, I said, with all due respect, like, I don't really care, to be honest with you. We're an ad agency, and that's part of who we are and what we stand for. And if you think that's too much, and this was like a French guy from Quebec, the last person I would think that would be, but it was this business sensibility that he had. He's like, well, no, as a human, it doesn't, as a person, it doesn't bother me. But in business, I don't expect to see that kind of thing in an office. I'm like, what kind of thing are you alluding to? And then we got into a debate with the staff, and we had to talk about the why, and really understanding that what we're trying to put out there to the world is this is relevant to us, it matters to us, and it's part of our brand. And if someone's willing to be offended, that's a risk we have to take if we stand for something. So it actually turned into an interesting little corporate exercise, because some of the team were like, well, why do we play that? And some took the one side and put their white cloaks on, and the other put the black cloaks on, and like, no, we need to show titties in the office. And it was this whole thing back and forth, but it really allowed us to go, what do we stand for? And are we actually willing to stand for it if someone decides to push back against it? That's a bigger conversation.
Thanks. And I love that conversation, because I think it is pertinent in business, especially now, to understand that personality trumps safety. Let's put it that way. I was going to say savvy, but it's not savvy. It's just business safety. Once upon a time, it was like, this is appropriate out at work and this is appropriate at home. And I think those lines have blurred so much that, one, we can't afford to have separate lines. If this is who you are at home and this is who you are, like, grow up, be who you are, stand for what you stand for, so that when you go out, you have a following of people that know, like, and trust you because they know what you stand for and who you are. So I guess I'm getting into the same words, but there's that idea or notion
But the authenticity thread that pulls through everything you just said is what we claim that we love. But to be authentic with our true selves, we have to be okay with who we are first before we can share it with the world. But as my business partner always says, like, our bullshit meters have never been more fine tuned. When someone isn't consistent, all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. I don't like how that feels in a world where authenticity, we claim to love it until it doesn't agree with us. And then we don't love it so much. So got to be really careful. We want our cake and we want to eat it and we want to resell that same piece of cake. Cake slightly eaten. I don't know if I want this cake. It's kind of bullshit. Something I've always played around with, and it was something what you said resonated with me. It made me connect to it. Love, like, if you want to be loved, you have to be willing to be hated. Because to be loved, you have to take a stand. Like, oh man, I love what you're all about. Oh fuck, I hate what you're all about. Okay, well, if it's gonna get love, it might get hate. And I'm playing those two as antagonistic to each other. For, like, you can play with whatever words you want. But we all say we want one, but are we willing to risk the other? And that's, I think, like, what I'm hearing us circling around in this episode.
Absolutely. Well, and it's been a philosophy that I've taught for years, that everything just is. And we attach the story to it, one. And second of all, once we attach that story to it, we now have a good and a bad to everything. So, as I drink the cup of tea, yeah, it's great. I'm absorbing the tea and I'm becoming healthier of it, but I'm also losing more tea. I'm having less tea available to me in the future. Like, there's a good and bad to everything. And when we understand that, then we have to understand that it's okay to offend people, because we can't help other people if we're not offending other people. Like, I can't work with a client.
I love what you said about the story. Like, everything is an hallucination, and people take offense to that. I didn't hallucinate that. That's how it was. That's how it happened. I'm like, well, no, that's how it happened to you. That's how it happened. I did some NLP, neuro-linguistic programming training years and years and years ago. And some people are familiar with NLP, some not. It has a good rap and a bad rap, but it really is understanding the nuance of communication with self and with others and all the different layers. And they talk about that a lot. Like, just remember, whoever you're talking to, that's their hallucination and it's real to them. But it's still a hallucination. And when you say that, I'll say something and be like, yeah, but that's just me hallucinating in my head. They're like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, that's what happened. I'm like, no, that's just my version of what happened. Just that alone, of being able to remove yourself from my version of what happened to me, to the thing, to your version, that takes a little bit of self-awareness. That it's a little bit more work. It's almost more responsibility than just getting offended. Getting offended is very indulgent.
Right? It totally is. And I think to people that say, oh, I just want to help everybody. No, you don't. Like, there's a lot of people out there you really don't want to help. I don't want to work with people that are members of the KKK. And if I offend them, I am totally
That's a fair
happy
reference. I've not heard KKK used in a sentence. I don't even remember last time.
Right? Like, as a group in a whole, they're a group that I'm okay never doing business with. In fact, I'm quite all right if they are absolutely offended by everything I say and do. I'm okay with that. And, like, if that's my black and white, now I get to tighten my circle of, well,
please no pun
and
intended there, right?
What's that?
Please no pun intended. You did say my black. I'm sorry. I got. Were you? Is that a risk? You said the KKK, then you made a black and white joke. Was that intentional? Are you trying to offend me? So I just couldn't help but pick on it a little bit. That is, I'm offended. No, I'm not.
Right, and my brain does that. I play word association.
Oh, Michelle, your face tone just matched your glasses and your shirt. Wow, I consider this a win for me.
Wow, I'm impressed. Nobody's made me blush for a really long time.
Well, hell, you know what? That's why you keep inviting me back. Maybe.
Exactly.
I watched. Have you ever seen? It's about a 15-minute interview with John Cleese, and it's I'm offended that you're offended. And he talks about why he will not play schools, he will not play like institutions, he will not, because he goes, comedy to be effective has to play on the edge of your sensibilities. I have to be willing to tread into a joke that you find uncomfortable, which he goes is right at the edge of where humor always exists. And he goes, in a society where we're so focused on being offended, he goes, it's killing comedy. So I won't go into these organizations or even put myself into these environments where comedy can't just be comedy at the risk of someone being offended. Because he goes, that's not where it lives. I thought it was a real, I keep referencing, I should go back and find it and rewatch it. But it was, I think it's called I'm Offended That You're Offended. And I think there was a lot to be said for, to your point about the risk of comedy or being a business that's going to get cut through with their message, whether that's using comedy or not. You have to be willing to step into that space that, yes, is risky, but the argument is it's more risky to be plain flavored than vanilla, let alone chocolate.
Right.
Those
Well, and
those crazy nut jobs. We don't even want to talk to the chocolate people.
and it's not allowed to be served in school anyway, so somebody's going to be allergic to it.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not in school because I'd be in trouble all the time.
So
Like
in
I was.
trouble. I'd be even more trouble, yes, than we were.
If you
I'm
and I were
pretty
in
sure
class together, Michelle, but no one would allow us to sit beside each other in class for long.
to this day.
True.
When it came to their comedy in general, I think one of the reasons why comedy became prevalent in society was because it was on that leading edge of allowing somebody to understand somebody else's point of view and making you laugh. Because when you laugh, then you all of a sudden you kind of let go of your defenses and you're like, oh, okay, so I'm up for it. Let me know what you got. And it's a very effective way of being able to have people become more open-minded. And if society is going, hey, I don't want to be offended by what you do, but you have to be open-minded towards what I do. It kind of is,
well, yeah,
and doesn't work that way. And if we can bring back that element of humor, particularly, then we understand that edge that needs to be there. And we start to understand that edge that needs to be there in marketing, particularly because you have to break through and get people's attention. Marketing without getting people's attention, without having NLP terms that, and all of a sudden I lost it. What is the term for when conversations
a pattern
going
interrupter,
one,
a pattern interrupter,
thank you.
or a break state, depending on who your instructor was, because they used both terms.
Exactly. You have to have that in order to get out of people's hypnotic state and get their attention. Like I can read through an entire magazine and not care about any of the ads, but if somebody breaks through and has that pattern interrupt and gets my attention, it has to be something that is, off of what I'm expecting.
So funny that Melody Meta was her name, and she used to call it quantum leap creative. She goes, oftentimes it can take 10, 15, 20 messages to get you there. But she goes, every once in a while, they come up with a piece of creative that takes you from what to boom to I want to buy the product. She used the, do you remember the old Cadbury commercial with the gorilla playing the drums, playing to Phil Collins? And it's a Cadbury commercial at the end. You're like, what is happening here? And she used that as an example because they said the way that they engaged you, and all of a sudden it's this gorilla breathing, and they're like, it was so unexpected. It didn't offend you, but it caught you off guard. And then all of a sudden it was a Cadbury commercial at the end. And she's like, she always used that as her example of quantum leap creative. You could go from not even thinking about that product to seeing that commercial to being like, huh, next time you're at the grocery store, it's like your hand goes out and buys the product because it created such a break, and it was so powerful. And they used such a powerful juxtaposition of like a gorilla playing the Phil Collins, and then it's a Cadbury commercial. Like, what are you guys even doing? And she used that as an example, but being, something that treads on someone's like, oh, that caught me off guard. Very similar mechanism to getting the breakthrough.
Nice.
Everyone's Googling the Cadbury or the gorilla commercial. It better be for Cadbury. I'm going to feel like an idiot now.
Well, feel free to put all your comments in the show notes if it wasn't Cadbury.
Totally.
Right down.
Whatever you put in there, I'm going to be offended. So I bring it on.
Right. So when it comes to kind of offensiveness, I know one of the things that kind of drives you crazy is when people are, giving compliments, but blah, blah, blah.
Everything before but is bullshit. Also something I learned in NLP.
Nice. Talk to me more about that and how it, one, affects you personally, and two, how it affects you in business.
Well, I think one, it's an ineffective form of communication. And I think two, it might be, and this is me just kind of hypothesizing based on the construct of our conversation, It's a softener that's actually ineffective because I'm scared to actually have the conversation with you. Like, say something, let's just say that something you did at work was misaligned, or like, I got to deal with it now. It's a performance conversation. Michelle, I've really enjoyed everything you've been doing. You've been really a pleasure to work with, but there was this thing that happened. What am I trying to get through? Like, if I actually, the first part actually matters. As soon as I say but, our brain negates it right away. So it makes it incredibly ineffective from a communication side. Unless you want to use it really strategically, which is not how most people use it, to actually say something, negate it, and then get your point across, versus using a softener like, hey, curious, do you have a few minutes? I've got something I want to talk to you about. It's really important. Boom, here's what it is. Versus like, you shit the bed last week on the project. What the fuck? That's probably a good way for someone to get defensive with you. But by dressing up something with the but in front of it and then giving them the feedback afterwards, it makes for a less effective messaging strategy. And I think we use it a lot as a bit of a crutch. I think it's a lazy communication technique because it's so prevalent in our society. Oh yeah, da 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 da. But I really wanted to talk to you about this. That first part actually now seems insincere. It seems to get, if you really wanted them to hear it, it probably went away, especially if what comes after is positive or negative. Like, using it as that conjecture in the middle of a sentence can really diminish the value of either side. And I think it's a bit of a protection tactic from the person delivering it. You can use it very strategically, but I find most people are using it more to kind of hide behind it. And it just makes for ineffective communication versus having an intention that's positive, having the other person's, like, really having the other person having a positive outcome. Are you using whatever you're about to tell them to elevate them and soften it up? Like, hey, I'm curious. I want to talk to you. I wonder, hey, I was really thinking about this thing I saw you do last week. Like, is that actually what you intended? That's how it kind of showed up. Whoa, what do you mean? I didn't know that. Using all that softening language can get a lot more direct with that person. It also lets down that immediate reaction of like, oh, you're about to say, you're like, my back's getting up. I'm like, oh, you want to fucking take me on with something, do you? Versus really softening it, versus they're, bearing some type of half-baked compliment, hitting it with a but, and then getting what you want across. It's just not effective. And bad communication is a pain in the ass that hurts us all.
Right. And
I don't even say ineffective. I say bad. I'm labeling it. I'm calling it bad communication.
I think the point on insincerity is, the part I like about that is I can offend somebody by being sincere, but at least I'm sincere. And the last time I think I heard somebody say, I really appreciate all the work that you've done for us, but was kind of last time I got fired from a corporate job.
Yeah, right before you get kicked in the ass. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, we know it's coming.
And you can almost hear it coming even before the but. What is your thoughts on, like, there's intention, like, I didn't go with the intent to offend anyone, but you chose to get offended. But it contradicts something else I learned in NLP. This is becoming an NLP. The meaning of your communication is the result that it gets. So if my intention was not to offend you, but yet you were offended in my message, but my intention was to get you to notice, and you chose offensive as your response, like, it creates an interesting, like, if we've got the scales of justice here in front of us, of like, I wanted to get my message across and get you to stop scrolling or stop, zoning out, white noising me. But yet I offended you, but then you engaged with me. Like, it's an interesting balance of who takes what responsibility when we all play a factor in it. Because you're right. If I'm getting offended all on my own on an island, does anyone, if a tree falls and hits me and I'm offended, does anyone give a shit? No. But if there's two of us involved and there's an outcome that either of us want to have together down the road, offended versus notice, it's a tricky balance there. Razor's edge.
Right. Well, and you bring up a great comment, because in my experience, you cannot control how somebody reacts no matter what you do. You can attempt to control the conversation and bend it and lean it.
Influence is about control is a tough word, because I'm like,
right?
What is this control you speak of? And what magic potion do you have, Michelle?
Exactly. Because once upon a time, again, I'm taught, if you walk into a room and somebody just suddenly bursts out in anger, and they hate you. They don't dislike you. They hate you. And you find out, 6 months, 2 years later, it was because you were wearing a black shirt or a black turtleneck. And you're like, what the absolute F is that all about? Like, how the fuck am I supposed to create? Like, I did not have you in mind, or, what happened in that back alley once upon a time when I bought this shirt. It had nothing to do with that.
Sorry, what happened to them in the back alley, or you bought your shirt in the back alley?
What happened to them in the back alley, and why they don't like people with black turtlenecks anymore. Like, it's got nothing to do.
I had a bad experience. I get it.
Anything. And I can't control that. And I need to understand that I can't control that. And once I understand that I can't control how somebody's going to react to something that I do, then I have to, the only person I can answer to is me. At the end of the day, why'd you buy the black turtleneck? Oh, because I liked it, and I
Well,
still
because I'm
like
a
it. It
Steve
looks great.
Jobs wannabe, obviously. Like, why
Right?
else would you buy a black turtleneck in this day and age?
So I want to be a billionaire, damn it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And so let's land on the intention of offending or not offending versus getting offended versus allowing. Because I would put forward the idea that you allow yourself to get offended. You
Of
sometimes
course.
search it out. And but most people that get offended are like, I'm offended. Did you even imply that I went out to be like, I'm already offended that you implied that my offense of what being offended was a choice. There is something very powerful that you get about pushing back against something. Like resistance is like, I just want a friction. I want to tussle. And like offensive is a good way to do that. Like I can give myself a lot of angry energy for being offended because I went out hunting for it. And we live in a world where we have access to our phones. If you want to get offended, just dial up dial it up on whatever social media platform you want. And it seems to be, is it a byproduct of us being so disconnected, maybe unhappy with our lives? Like I'm going a little bit deeper in the philosophy. So what is it, this need to feel? Like just slap me because I want to feel something. Now we're going down another whole offensive category. Um, it's similar to that. Like I just need to feel alive. So this is how I'm going to choose to do it. And it's probably not conscious, but what is our obsession or addiction to being offended?
If I had to make a therapeutic analysis of
You
this,
have to.
I
You
would,
have to.
and I do because I've self-imposed it, is because we've suppressed our emotions so much. We're not allowed to feel sad. We're not allowed to feel angry. We're not allowed to feel any of the negative emotions. We're supposed to be happy. We're supposed to be elated. We're supposed to be excited about our jobs. Then we have this level of suppression that it's not okay to feel human emotions. Therefore, I'm going to unpack this percolator of anger, frustration, whatever it is, and I'm going to poke the bear, going, how dare you offend me? And that's a safe and appropriate way of letting the pressure cooker
Mm.
release slightly. And then if you really want to offend me, now I'm justified in why I'm angry because you did this. And now I get to go and have that
Yeah,
negative
you
explosion.
did this to me. You made me feel this way, which is the argument no one can make anyone feel anything. But someone who likes getting offended immediately gets offended that you would apply that they had a choice. Mm.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah. Which is really, is this the throw for some of us and not everyone listening? This feels like back to Victorian court, era of repressed and everything looks good on the outside and, keep calm and chip and all that bullshit that we're never allowed to express emotion or, look at the royal family. Look at all those Diana specials where the kids run up to hug their mom and then they stop and shake her hand. Like if that doesn't create some repressed something, but if you run that forward into our worlds, and so much of my world is influenced far in the past, but there's descendants of that mindset, which hearing you describe that, it feels like we've been dragging that bag over our shoulder for many, 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 many decades, from the perspective of culturally. And it's still manifesting itself in this way that looks like we're so free to express, but we're clearly not, or we don't give ourselves permission.
Exactly. And
Mm.
I appreciate that there are people who say, well, if we just have conversations in this way, then we'll be able to express what's going on. I mean, okay, great. And you're still human. And whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
humanity has a spectrum of emotions, which range from love and elation to anger and vehemence. And if we're super offended by something that a loved one did, that's the only way it can trigger that hate, animosity, all the negative emotions that are on the other side. So it is that kind of the double-edged sword, but it's kind of like if you want to experience life, you have to go from the reds to the purples and
Mm.
experience all that it has to offer. All of those emotions are very normal, natural human emotions, and it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to do those things. And how do we express it in a way that's authentic with integrity? If I intend to piss you off and I'm doing it consciously and going, hey, I can piss you off, a great actor can intentionally piss you off
Mm.
because that is, and it's not about who they are. That's my role in this moment, is to piss you off so that you can experience something that you wouldn't have been able to experience otherwise. And in a weird sort of way, we pay for that experience over and over and over again through movies, and we resent it when it happens in life.
So I love your reference to actors. I'm sitting there beside my wife and she's crying. Whatever we're watching, she's crying. And I've learned very like after 20 years of marriage, she's like, I love it. I'm like, oh my God, you're crying. So, oh my God, it's the best. I love
I'm
it.
a Sophie Bones. It's okay,
I
honey.
feel so good. She's super okay with it. But I had to get okay with it, which was my okay, nothing to do with like she was going to do whatever she wanted to do. But the power that can be created in that moment of something that you know is made up. But to your point, that's the beauty of emotions. They're not rational in that way. I know this is made up, but I'm feeling the feels. Let me feel the feels. And do you think we're doing any better in our society of it's okay to get mad? It's okay. Like, are we doing better or are we just giving it lip service? But in reality, in our school systems and in our families and in our friends, we're not actually getting any better at all.
Well, we're absolutely not getting
Yeah,
better.
no, I
I would
agree.
have
Yeah, yeah.
to
Sorry. I'm trying not to
stronghold
answer my own
on.
question. I
It
turned it into a question
sucks.
that answered it. I know. Turbo
Well,
fucked. Um,
well, and it's an interesting kind of conundrum to me is that if I just obey the rules, then I will be happy. And unfortunately, it's totally not true. It's if I disobey all the rules, I'm ecstatic. Life is great
well, yeah, well, for you, for sure. I
for
think not.
me.
I mean, everybody's like some people just got uncomfortable even with the idea that you just suggested, which I love.
Anarchy. Oh my God, not anarchy.
Yeah, no,
I love anarchy.
chaos. We're all gonna die.
Not
So
really.
how do we challenge ourselves? Let's, we've ranted, we've raved, we've kicked the ground, we've snorted, we've like pumped our fists in the air. Is it a daily practice of sensing offense and pulling back from it? Is it creating a safety word for ourselves? Safety word is rutabaga. It's always it's the hardest to say with a ball gag in your mouth. Because if you say it and you really mean it, then I can hear it. I find harder is a terrible safety word. But do we catch ourselves getting offended and try to walk ourselves back from it, which is really, but yet, if it is about emotional expression, should we just find another way to channel the emotion, which you've celebrated, that doesn't arrive in offensive, which is very finite?
Well, the way I've described it in the past is that whether we like it or not, we are a walking, talking cockpit of a 747. We have more buttons that can be pushed at any given moment in time than any piece of equipment ever created. And the only person that can unwire those buttons or disconnect those buttons is us. So the question is, in that moment, am I feeling well? And the problem with being offended is we do feel superior. We do feel in control. We do feel great because now I'm blaming you. The issue is
Yeah,
that
it's
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 really
a
a
it's a higher
victim,
order stance that comes from it. Yeah, it's a very good point.
but it's a victim mentality. So it's one of the higher victim modalities because we feel higher in stature. It's better than feeling sad and deflated and depleted,
Because it leaves
but
you. Yeah, yeah.
it's not a power stance. And if it's not serving us long term, as you mentioned right at the beginning of it, so it might have been in the green room, is if it's not getting us where we want to go, then it's up to us to rewire that button and figure out how to disconnect that button completely. So it's not wrong that we feel that way so much as it's in our control to not feel that way if we want to not feel that way.
Do you ever keep in a like an I'm offended log of all the things that got offended and then maybe understanding where it came from? I haven't
As
done this, but I might. I've done this with my own like curiosity and
my
fixed and
log
growth
would look like a
mindsets.
toilet paper roll that just keeps coming and
Yeah, yeah.
coming and
Well,
coming and
it's
coming.
yeah, it's endless. It has to be an endless shit. It's a large stack of paper. But I'd be curious about the challenge. I did this when I was trying to really identify when I was acting with a fixed or growth mindset.
Yep.
And I quickly found I'd get off a call and I'd be like, oh shit, like I really shut that down. Like I really didn't. Because everyone thinks they have a growth mindset until they show up in a situation where you're like, well, no, this is how it is, and this is what it is, and this is who we are, and it's never going to change. You're like, really?
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder what it would be like to create I'm offended, and then throughout the course of the day, just write things down, and then go back to them later with maybe this is almost like role playing. Okay, earlier self, what would you think that actually triggered you to be offended in this situation? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some type of like everything in life. It's how do you create a practice around it that might open more doors than it's closing?
Nice. I love that because I think particularly in business. I'm going to start with business because oftentimes when people make changes, it gets reflected faster, easier through their business than anything else. Your family will take a while to respond to your changes and go, really? Have you changed? Have you? Whereas your business will change on almost automatically as you change. And you've changed when your results change. So to me, if somebody starts in business, where am I getting offended in meetings? Where am I getting offended in my own marketing? Where am I getting offended in the results that I'm getting? And start to unpack those and say, am I playing a victim role here, or am I actually taking control of a situation and moving it in the needle in the direction that I want to go? It becomes very evident that no, I'm playing a victim to either someone else, myself, or the circumstances. And
What
then,
happens if you flip that and you look at it from the fact that, man, now that I'm becoming a little bit more in tune to it, like I seem to be offending a lot of people. Is it the people I'm hanging out with? Is it something I'm doing? Like, again, back to
well,
the
I
getting
offend
offended or
people.
not versus like, are you running around with like being of one offending son SOB or whatever?
Absolutely. And that offensiveness, again, if it's not conscious, right? If I'm not consciously choosing to offend people and saying I'm okay with offending members of the KKK, but I'm subconsciously offending people that are driving down the highway that are driving slower than me, that's a problem, right? Because now I am putting out energy that I really don't want to, right? I
Mm.
don't want to piss everybody off on the highway. There's really no point in that. Whereas if I piss off somebody from the KKK, I'm totally cool with that. And hey, let's go.
And is that where we
Right?
start to get into kind of shadow, like Carl Jung stuff around the fact of like, no, I don't do that. What do you mean? Like, well, hey, everyone around you knows this is like your personality. You're like, what? And like legit blind spot. Like people are like, oh, I know my blind spots. Hey, hint, if you know your blind spots, they're not blind spots anymore. They're just known behaviors that you maybe haven't chose to change. But true blind spots or true shadow behaviors are like people like everybody goes, oh yeah, Michelle, she's like that. And someone you care about actually presents it to you, and you're like, I legit had I had no idea.
I don't
Like
do that.
that's where you start to like sometimes getting that external perspective from a trusted source is a risk you almost, I think, sometimes have to take. We don't
Well,
always see the label when we're inside the offensive bubble or bottle.
so once upon a time, I did this with, ex-boyfriends and went, well, he was a jerk and he was a jerk and he was a jerk and he was a jerk. What did these guys all have in common? And nothing except for me. It's like,
I
we
had a
got the thing
conversation with
she
my mom
protests,
about that a few years ago. She didn't talk to me for 6 months, but that's a whole other story. Mom, if
right?
everyone in your life is an asshole, maybe it's you. Click. So 6 months later, we sorted it out. Anyways, I
Yeah,
hope
yeah.
she's not listening because she'll be offended I even said that.
I'm pretty sure those words apply to everybody, so I think you're okay.
Touche. All right. Mm.
It's being able to. I don't need somebody else to tell me that I am that way. If I see that in other people, I am that way. I can't I can't recognize that you have a good sense of humor unless I have a good sense of humor. I can't recognize that you're doing something manipulative unless I am manipulative. And it's recognizing that, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that a lot.
Is
Actually,
it like, isn't that
like,
the rule? Like every friend group has an asshole, and if you don't know who it is, it's you. Is it like kind of like that?
exactly.
Kind of not like that, but I just felt like sharing that story. I thought it was funny. Someone's like, "What do you
Like,
mean by that?" I'm like, "You think it through. If you can't point out the one in your group, maybe it's you."
and to your point, being able to look at these things, address these things, and get rid of the ones that are unconscious and that I haven't been aware of up until now. And then being able to go into a meeting with you and looking at kind of what is the business meaning that I have? What do I want to have come across? And being able to look at weird things like my messaging and my content. It's like, wow, that was really condescending. Wow, that's really kind of, I don't think you're getting the message across the way you want to
Mm.
in that. And then we can start to consciously use our languaging and choose our audience based on the words that we use. And they will self identify through it because of the way they feel with whatever it is, whether it's the people that I hired, the messaging that I put out, all of it then starts to change because now I'm hiring different people. I'm articulating what I want them to do in a different way. My entire business changes because I've changed.
Well, and it all comes down. I love what you said, like that. Unconsciously unaware. I don't even know that I don't know. The most awkward part is where you become consciously aware of, like, oh shit, like I'm doing the thing, and then you become consciously competent of it when you start to now trying to change. Like that's a lot of work. That's when you got to turn down the radio to find a place to park because you're like, oh shit, I need to focus. Then eventually it works its way through. But that first quadrant of the learning cycle of like all of a sudden we're like, oh wow, yeah, I'm doing this all the time. Like that, it can be very uncomfortable. So it's
Very.
kudos to anyone who leans into it because it's avoided for a reason.
Mm. And the highlight at the end of the road for that is, I think, ultimate freedom comes from that. And I think every entrepreneur goes into business for freedom, but when they really understand it's not freedom of finances and time, although those will come, is that it's true freedom of expression and who you are as an individual, and how liberating that is. I don't
Wow.
have to keep track of any stories. I just get to be me when I walk into a room, and it is awesome. And I'm more focused on meeting the people that are in the room than I am on how I come across, what I sound like, I don't care anymore. It's all about you and how do I get to meet you and connect with you.
Well, incredibly well said. So many things in business are just so much about where are you on your journey and who shows up. And the more authentic you are, back to that bullshit meter, people are like, oh, I might like you, I may not like you, but there's often respect that comes with like you. Actually, this is who you are. Like I love that. And there might be parts of you that might be prick. Some of my best friends are super prickly, but they're 100% them all the time, and I love them for it.
Right? I love it. You have been absolutely awesome. And I know our audience is going to want more from you. Maybe just to harass you or to get a
If you
psychological
want to,
analysis on
I
themselves.
love, I don't like to be offended. So please accept the challenge. Well, that's what you put out to the internet. TylerChisholm.com. Check out my website. It's got links to everything I do. I love to talk to people. I love to hang out. I love to have amazing conversations, especially real ones. So kudos to you, Michelle, for creating an environment for real conversations. And I say real because we step out from behind the bullshit to talk about what's really going on. And I do that in the podcast. I do that in my agency life. I do that in everything that I do. So check it out, TylerChisholm.com. It's got links to all the things that I do and all the stuff that I am very passionate about. And if you're curious, go check it out.
I love it. Do you have it before we end there? Do you have any special passion projects that you're working on right now that you're like, oh yeah, but that's kind of a side thing?
I am. I'm not sure when this is going to be out, but on February 20th, I'm doing the opening keynote. So this might be before or after, I don't know, but I'm doing the opening keynote for the Beyond Leadership Conference. What is it called? How we can rethink leadership leading beyond any title in the digital future. It's part of this 2-day leadership conference. And I am doing a keynote, and it is called The Curious Leader, Challenging Your Fixed Mindset and Embracing Growth, which is all about using curiosity very deliberately to move from a fixed to a growth mindset, specifically in a leadership or a management role. So, when you say yes to a keynote, then you're like, God damn, now I got to create this thing. So I'm right in the middle of it right now, and I'm loving it because it's really forcing me to think through those times when you're like, okay, what about fixed mindset, Tyler, moving to growth mindset, Tyler? And where did curiosity show up and where didn't it? So I'm going to share that with the audience. So I'm really passionate about that right now. And curiosity from a means to an ends versus just for the sake of it, which it's fun just as a thing to run around and be curious with, but you can use it to really move the needle in your own life. And I'm really excited to share that with people.
Well, we are going to jump this to the front of the line. Then we'll publish a show ASAP. So if you
Amazing.
can get
Thank you
us
very
that link,
much.
that'd be awesome. Love it. That is the best question I have asked people lately. Get this totally left field stuff, and people are kind of Renaissance people, and they're coming up with kind of totally fun and exciting things. I love that. You have been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
Stay curious.
Nice. Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for letting me offend you. I am happy to do so. I enjoy it thoroughly. So please, if you have any topics or guests that you think would be awesome for the show, let me know. I am Michelle Nedelec on all social media. And if all else fails, put comments in the notes. I will read them.